Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva.
So because I'm a little abnormal, I don't sing it in a normal way. It'd be the key of G, the key of K, and I repeat part of the line. So it goes Jayabaladeva, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Right? Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopirana Bhagava Jaya Giridhari Jaya Giridhari Jaya Gopidana Bhagava Jaya Giridhari Jaya Giridhari Jaya Yasudhanandana Jaya Buddhanaranjana Jaya Yasudhanandana Jaya Buddhanaranjana Jaya Yamunatiravunachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamunatiravunachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnu Brahmam Zaparivachari Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Vishnu Brahmam Zaparivachari Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki. Anadiga Vaishnavrinda Ki. SKCON Guru Vrinda Ki. SKCON Founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki. All glorious and devotees. All glorious and devotees. All glorious and devotees. All glorious Sri Guru Angaranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Since we have no board, I'll just read the verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Asakta Manaparta Yogam Yunjam Hadasraya Amsai Sayam Samagramham Yata Dignashu Tashrinu. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Lord said, Mai, to me, Ashakta Mana, mind attached, Partha, O son of Prita, Yogam, self-realization, Yunjana, practicing, Mat Ashraya, in consciousness of me, Krishna conscious, Asamsayam, without doubt, Samagram, completely, Mam, me, Yata, how, Yanyashi, you can know, Tat, that, Shrinu, try to hear. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Now hear, O son of Prita, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Report. In this 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul, capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yoga. At the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahma Jyoti, or localized Paramatma realization, is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahma Jyotir and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna conscious yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravana is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, touch Srinu, or hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and therefore, by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna-conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart puffed up with academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the second chapter of the first canto as follows. To hear from Krishna from Vedic literatures, or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita, is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a well-wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As one hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord. That by development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severes the hard knot of material affection, enables one to come at once to the stage of Ashamya Samagraham, understanding the Supreme Absolute Truth Personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotees in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna. Om Jnanatanandasya Janandanan Salakaya Chaksunutan Yena Tasmai Sigrave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutare Shmati Tamal Krishna Goswami Ite Namanen. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutare Shmati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ite Namanen. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Bachani Nivasesa Srinivani Pasadet Tyran. So here, Krishna is telling us how to become Krishna conscious. Usually it's interesting because usually when Prabhupada translates the word yoga, he says it's to link up. But here he says it means a self-realization. And what is that self-realization? Mat Ashraya, in full consciousness of me. So basically it's the same thing, to link up with Krishna, become Krishna conscious. So how do we do that? Prabhupada explains in detail in the purport, as he says, there's, as we know, 9 different processes of devotional service, and what is the most important is Shravanam, to hear. And Prabhupada says to hear from Krishna directly or to hear from Krishna's devotees. So this is the real meaning of a human form of life, real meaning of civilization. Prabhupada says civilization doesn't mean just building big skyscraper buildings. He said it's just a pile of stones and wood. So he says, just like the birds, they're also building their piles of twigs. So, like that. People think this is advancement. This technology is what we're gearing toward. But Prabhupada also said that this technology may give you some benefits, just like flying in an airplane. You can get to one place to another very quickly. He said there's also so many problems with that because flying in the airplane also is first of all, it's a big endeavor, and So many times you see the planes will also crash. And also, if you fly in airplanes for extended periods of time, it's a disruption of the life airs. It's like I know, because we used to travel a lot, and sometimes you talk to the stewardesses, and they complain because, you know, every time you're moving some different place up in the air, and every time you're landing somewhere else is a different time zone. The whole thing is a disturbance. So here we can end all of these type of miseries by just becoming Krishna conscious. And Prabhu says here that one has to develop his attachment to Krishna. We have attachment for so many things. Anybody that has children, you know, they have a strong attachment to playing their video games. The wife, she has attachment to the husband. The parents have attachment to the children. So many attachments are there. We're attached to so many different things. But all these things are temporary. One cannot remain married for his entire life. Sometimes one of the spouse will pass away, or there'll be a divorce. So all these are temporary situations. So we have to develop our attachment for that, what is eternal. And that eternal attachment is to Krishna, because Krishna and the living entity are actually never separate. As Prabhupada states here, Krishna as a super soul is always accompanying the living entity. Just like if, even when the living entity is cast down to the lower regions of the hellish planets, Krishna still accompanies the living entity. Right? So you can ask your friend, even your best friend, I've been challenged to a fight. I have to fight this guy. Maybe you can come and help me. Maybe your friend doesn't want to do that. Maybe he will. We don't know. But what if you tell your friend, tomorrow I have to go to the hellish planets. Will you go with me? They'll say, no, thank you. But Krishna, he will accompany a living entity even if you take your birth and the body of a worm in the stool, Krishna is there. So he's always there, and he's simply waiting for us to turn our attention to him again. So here we see, as Prabhupada says, in the Vedic literatures, all this information is there, but it's like an open secret. I know, you know, we all know, but how many people in the city of Houston know it? We see how many people are here in a population of 8 million? I don't know what the population is now. It's at least 8 million, right? How many people are here to hear Bhagavad discourse? Nobody. But people they know about Hare Krishna. Everybody practically in Houston, they know what is Hare Krishna. But they don't know what it actually means. You see, you can go on the YouTube and you see, you can search for Hare Krishna in the movies. So there's so many movies you see, they show the devotees, or they talk about Krishna, some even directly. But people don't know what it actually really means. Unless they hear from Krishna or they hear from the devotees, they get these books, they read these books, then that information is there. Otherwise, the people, they have no idea. They're debating endlessly, is capital punishment good? Is it bad? Is abortion good? Is it bad? They don't know. It's just speculation. But all the answers are there in these literatures. So much knowledge is there. Not only how we should act, what are the activities in this world, what are the activities in higher planets, what are the activities in the lower planets, what is the activities in the spiritual world. So they can get this knowledge. Krishna actually says in another part of the Bhagavad Gita that, don't disturb the minds of the ignorant, right? But Prabhu said the devotee is more compassionate than Krishna because he's going out and giving this knowledge to people. He's forcing people to wake up. Jeev Jago, he's grabbing living entities and want them to engage in Krishna consciousness. And that begins with Shravanam, just like when we do the Harinam. Just by the people, the materialistic person, hearing the name Krishna in his ear, that means his devotional service has begun. And what happens when they hear the name of Krishna? Or if they say, even, Prabhupada said, even they sometimes you see the materialists, when they see devotees chanting, they'll imitate them in a joking way, or they'll dance, they'll spin around in a joking way. So, but actually, the devotional service beginning was when they start chanting the name of Krishna, then they can become purified. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Chaito Darpanam Marjanam, this chanting will cleanse the heart. I can tell you one story was told by, when we first came here, actually, I don't know if some of you know this, the small Gaunitai deities, Nitai Gaur Chandra, were on a Radha Damodar bus. And we were traveling around the country, and our bus leader was named Janardhan. And so when our Guru Maharaj got this zone, we basically parked our buses, and he parked his bus here in Houston. And I was traveling with that time. We got the deities and put them on the altar and sold the bus. And he told us a story that he was in New York Temple, New York City, and devotees were going out on Harinam. And there was one, they have these newspaper stalls on some of the corners where they sell newspapers and magazines and things like that. And every time the devotees would be chanting on the street, this guy would be coming out, he'd be yelling at them. He'd be yelling at them, well, you guys are wrapping up my business. You got to stop this chanting. And he's like very angry, So this would go on for week after week. But then after some time, the devotees, they changed their route, and they were going into different streets. Then after some time, they came back, and then the guy saw him, and as soon as he saw the devotees, he goes, oh, where you guys been? I missed you. And he was like really happy. He was really happy to see the devotees. So he must have been meditating on the devotees after they had left. Where are they? Where are they? He's thinking about Krishna. So just like Prabhu said that even, Ravana or Hiranyakashipu, when they're thinking of Krishna, they're always thinking about Krishna. They're thinking in a negative way, how I can kill Krishna, So like that you see, but it's actually also Krishna consciousness, and they eventually can change. And this guy dramatically changed. So it is possible. So every time we go out, we're actually, we can't see it right away, but people are getting benefit. And when we distribute the books, even they don't take the book. Remember, when we were distributing books, if they didn't take the book, I'd say, well, you may not take it, but this is a nice picture, though, isn't it? And they would say, yeah, it's nice. So you get them to some way appreciate Krishna, Or even in that, we would touch them with the book because they get some purification just by touching the book. So I know I'm supposed to end here. If anybody has any questions or comments. Yes, Prabhu? In the back.
Shravanam and Kirtanam, but Krishna says Antakale cha mame smaranam. He says smaranam. He didn't say Kirtanam or Shravanam. Why did he say?
Yeah, that's true. All the processes are there and begins with, but Prabhupada says it begins with hearing. He says the most important is the hearing, and then by hearing, then one starts chanting, and hearing and chanting and remembering. And those three are very interrelated. I can only tell you what Prabhupada said here.
I think in Srimad Bhagavatam Tasmat bhavati sarvatma Bhagavan Isvaro Harihi Srotavya Kirtitavyasya Shrutavyasya Cheta Bhayam. So in that also Srota is first. You listen, then Kirtana, then Smarana is coming.
Right. Here Prabhupada says, I'll read it again. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. Why? Because if you don't hear about Krishna, how can you remember? So that's why it's mentioned first. First we hear, then we chant and remember. Of course, it's very important also to remember. Otherwise, Prabhupada said, what is the value of your chanting if you're not hearing or remembering? That's simply the chanting of a parrot. Parrot hears the word Krishna. He can chant also Krishna. I don't know if you've seen, there used to be a parrot they had in Mayapur that would chant. But then Prabhupada said, if you grab the parrot by the throat, then does he chant? No, he goes, ah! So the goal is to remember Krishna, because why? Because that final test will be there eventually. Time of death, we have to be able to remember Krishna. Otherwise, it's another till birth.
For someone who is out chanting the Maha Mantra and there's someone who reacts very negatively to it, would it be better to give them like the space to not hear the Maha Mantra so that they would appreciate the devotee, or to just keep chanting so that they hear the...
No, we keep chanting. We just avoid them. Yeah, it's better to move on some other place if someone is too, agitated. Yeah.
I like the point that you made about from the Bhagavad Gita purport where Prabhupada says the devotee is more compassionate than Krishna because he knows, or he tries to spread Krishna consciousness even to those who are, Krishna saying, do not disturb the minds of the ignorant, but the devotee still takes the risk and approaches people who even don't want it, in the mood of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. And I appreciate that point, and I'm curious if you would like to share a little more of your times on the Radha Damodar bus and some stories, maybe distributing books and doing Sankirtan.
Mm-hmm. Now you have to go way back. Yeah, well, on Sankirtan you meet all kinds of people. Sometimes you meet people who already know about Krishna, and they become enlivened just to see you. They're happy to see somebody out there spreading message of Krishna. Most of the people you meet, they don't know about Krishna at all. And I learned from your Guru Maharaj about how to distribute books. We used to, when we were in the parking lots, we used to just distribute, they taught us, you distribute some paraphernalia, like we'd pass out some incense, then if you collected enough money, then you'd have enough money to give them a book, like that. Whereas in the airports, they were just selling books directly. So Vaisika Prabhu came once in the Brahmachari ashram in the old temple we had in St. Louis. And he gave a little demonstration about how to distribute books. And he said, you guys can do this on the lots too. So at that time, everybody had like a certain quota, a Lakshmi quota. You had to earn a certain amount of dollars on the parking lots. So the biggest, usually the largest, was like $100 a day. And my quota was less than that. I was like 75. I was traveling with two devotees. Durashire, he's running a restaurant up in Dallas now, and another devotee named Brihat Mridanga. And they had the largest quotas of anybody in the parking lots, was $110 a day. So after Vaisika showed us how to do this, I said, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do books in the parking lot. And so I started distributing books directly, and Brihamananga says, you can't distribute books. You're not an airport distributor. He was like, and I was actually, what I was doing doing good. I was getting good results. And he said, you can't do that. Because we had stopped in the middle of the day. We came back, take some lunch, and they found out I was distributing books. You can't distribute books. You're not an airport distributor. Since I was doing good, I said, well, just watch me. And so that day I had over $100. So that was like really big for me. And so they were impressed too. So they also started distributing books. And then eventually the word got out, and so many devotees in the parking lot started distributing books directly also. And it was all by the grace of your Guru Maharaj. And I never went back to distributing any paraphernalia after that. Yeah, so sometimes, you're struggling out there, because there's so much opposition in the material world when you're distributing books, Nobody came to the material world to find out about Krishna. No, they came to the material world to forget about Krishna. So, when you try to give them a book, usually it's not a good reaction. Let's be realistic. How many people really take? So, sometimes it's difficult, but sometimes Krishna will just give you the mercy. Like on that day, Krishna just was giving me the mercy that day because, it was basically the start of the changing the whole way that we were distributing books in the Radha Damodar party. Yeah. Another time I did meet someone, they must have been an ex-devotee or something, because I started passing, I gave him a book, gave him a Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, Part 1. He said, oh yeah, this is very good. And he threw it in the back seat of his car. He said, what else you got? I gave him a Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1. He said, oh, that's good too, and he threw it in the back. So what else you got? I said, I gave him a Bhagavad Gita. He said, oh, that's good. And so then, asked for a donation. And he gave me $100, and I said, well, can you just leave the whole thing? And he said, yeah, sure. He said it's so easy. I said, well, can you give another? So then he gave me another 100. And then I said, that's good too. Can you give me one more? And then he kind of hesitated. He had his wallet out, but he was hesitating. I said, just one more for the farms. And he said, okay. And he gave me the third one. And then I went back to the van again. It was lunchtime. And then Durashai said, so how much you got? I said, I got 300. He goes, no, you don't. He couldn't believe me until I had to actually show him the 300. And then a few years back, Prabhu came here again to Houston and was training up everybody how to do books. And I asked him, what is the biggest donation you got? He said, I got $3,000. He said he was distributing in the airport there in San Francisco, is there an airport in San Jose? So he said he goes out with another devotee and they distribute books, and then whatever money they collect, they just split it in half. So he said he was talking to this one gentleman, one businessman, for a long time. And then eventually the other devotee was looking at him like, come on. Can't spend all your time on one person. And so he said, well, he's just going to wrap it up because he was so receptive, So I'll just wrap it up. And then until he just asked him for a donation. And he opened up his briefcase and he took out $3,000. Yeah. So you never know who you're going to meet out there on Sankirtan. We met some demons too. I remember I was distributing in Chicago. It was one of the toughest places. Have you ever been to Chicago? It's a pretty tough place. I was distributing with Mahari. He's also in Dallas now. He's the head pujari in Dallas. We're distributing in the Chicago train station. And I met another guy who obviously was a devotee previously, but he was very inimical. And he said, he wanted to fight me, actually. He grabbed my glasses and he put them on the ground. He was going to stomp on them. He said, I'm going to stomp on these. He said, unless you give me some money. He says, it's okay to come out here and steal money as long as it's for Krishna, right? He said, the way he said, Krishna. As long as it's for Krishna, right? He was like that. He was ready to fight me. And then there was a security guard there. And I looked at the security guard, and the security guard wasn't doing nothing. He was like, oh, please, boys, don't fight. He's like that. And at the same time, then I met Mahari later. He said there was a guy chasing him around with a knife. He was chasing him around the train station with a knife. But somehow Krishna always protected us, I didn't get in a fight. He was not stabbed or anything. But, sometimes you got to take a risk. Sometimes you're taking risks out there. But only in America, Yeah, it's only. When I remember distributing books. I distributed books with Radha Krishna. Remember that in Taiwan? We used to go out in dhotis and distributing books, and people would be very respectful. They think, oh, here's a monk, because they're used to Buddhist monks going out for donations. So we go out. I'd go out for half a day and collect about $400 US, and everything was easy. You didn't have any animosity. Only one time there was a policeman who was yelling at me, and he was yelling at me in Chinese, so I didn't know what he was saying. One of the Chinese devotees told me he was very angry because he thought I spoke Chinese and I was pretending I didn't know what he was saying. And that was the only animosity we experienced when they were there. I was there for almost 2 years. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we had Chinese books. We have books in practically all the languages now, right? Right, Manasi? All the languages we have, the books. I can't hear you. 86. Should be enough. Okay, so it's 8:30. Thank you very much.
Haribo, Guru Priya has a question.
What?
No time.
When I first came here, you were here, and I see you never quit your service. And you've been coming for so many years. What's the secret to keep up the Krishna consciousness, like not giving up?
Oh. Well, my Guru Maharaj, I guess it's my nature. My Guru Maharaj said, I've noticed whenever you take something up, you don't give it up. So you have to be determined for performing devotional service. Plus you know that, this is what our real activities are, is to be engaged in Krishna's service. That's what our nature is. Otherwise, we have attachments for other things. We have to give up those attachments, become attached to Krishna, and we do that by performing process of non-devotional service. So we're serving the deity is one of those processes also. Everybody can engage in devotional service, and everybody can engage in deity worship. Prabhu said even if you're not able to go on the altar, just by seeing the deity worship is also a part of deity worship. And chanting in front of Krishna, in front of the deities, is also service, deity worship. So we have opportunity to perform all these different processes. Prabhupada said that this temple is there from 4 a.m. To 10 p.m. There's devotional service going on. So we simply come here, we can engage in devotional service. And why not? That's what we want to do. Especially this morning program that we have. As Prabhupada established, we're engaged in all 9 processes of devotional service right here in these few hours in the morning. And we can fix our mind on Krishna all day. Like that. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami's first initiated USA disciple, His Grace Jayabaladeva Dasadikari. Hari Hari Bo.